Alright guys, Scrappy again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Scump absolutely furious with the state of ranked Warzone right now and just the state of Call of Duty in general, and the drama continues on the work ethic stuff we have seen over the last few days. Drazah, JoeDeceives among others are talking about the fact that none of these pro players even want to grind going into the biggest event of the season. Skyz makes it pretty clear that look, this is when the money is on the line. It's not just about legacy, it's not just about reputation, it's not just about what the World Championship means, but this is when you can genuinely set yourself up for your future, and none of the players really seem to be bothering. Very much enjoy to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. We'll start with a bit of a throwback here. We talked about it earlier today, the fact that Simp has won every World Championship that he's played on a Treyarch title. The next two World Championships, this year's and next, will also be on Treyarch titles. Do wonder, like, does it take anything away? Like, let's say Simp wins champs this year and he wins champs next year. Is Simp the GOAT with 4 rings? You know, there's still an argument to be had, obviously, even at that potential point. But still, if Simp wins all his games on one developer's titles, does that change anything? It was always a talk with Kremp, for example, that he won champs, of course, on Ghost, an Infinity Ward game. He won champs in Infinite Warfare, an Infinity Ward game, and then he went on to win the World Championship in Modern Warfare 19, an Infinity Ward game. So there was talk that, well, you know, Kremp. No one really said that, though, really. Like, it was a known thing that Kremp had won his titles on Infinity Ward games, whereas Karma won his titles on BO2, a Treyarch game, Ghosts, an Infinity Ward game, and then, of course, Infinite Warfare, also Infinity Ward. But, you know, like Clayster, for example, he won his World Championships on different developers. He won in Advanced Warfare on Sledgehammer. Like, does it really matter? I don't know. Like, is there a point there that winning your World Championships across different developers is more impressive, maybe? Or does nobody really care? I don't really care, but I thought it was an interesting point. These were just some throwback cards, really. Some interesting stats going into champs. These were the Donut Kings of the season. Of course, Octane can't be topping the list anymore because he's now retired, but these are the guys that did put together a donut on the year. Mack had a couple, so he's the Donut King of the season, but we also had donuts from Paul X, from Roxas, from Scrappy, he put one in there too, from Dahoom, Real, Geo, Johnny, Purge, and FeLo. So they all dropped one at some point in the season. I don't know, is that more or, you know, fewer donuts on the year than you're expecting? Of course, that meaning 0 kills and search and destroy. The interesting Money Hill stat, though, that he put out on the day was no doubt this one. For the last few years, we have talked often about the Cellium Index, and the Cellium Index is effectively percentage of series where a player goes positive, has a positive KD. This season, Cellium is right up there, no surprise, but it's actually not as strong as maybe usual. So Cellium has played 45 series this year. He's positive in 35 of them, which is probably lower than you'd normally expect. I mean, I think we've seen Cellium before up in like the 90%. But this season has been pretty interesting for Cellium. He's certainly been MVP candidate, like right up there. But his season, in terms of consistency, hasn't been what we have sometimes seen before. 78% this season, which is still like amazing, right? 3rd in the league. But pipped out by the two, I would say, other MVP candidates, with both Scrap and HyDra going positive in 39 of their 48 series for an 81% return. So for the regular season, and okay, after champs, who knows, maybe it'll change, but more than likely it won't, that Scrap and HyDra are going to go down, or one of these guys, depending on champs, but the bottom line is that the Cellium Index is maybe no longer a thing, and it's now the Scrap Index, or whatever you want to say. But the Cellium Index had a good bell on it, and it was the case for many a year. Interesting to note as well, Huke's here, number 4. 75% of his series has been positive. Really impressive. Mercury's at 71% of the series he's played so far, but of course, a smaller sample size. And Pred, out of 26 series he played, 18 of them has gone positive, right? And that was true for OpTic. That's, of course, been true with the Falcons as well. I think for Pred, you know, you've got to take it with a little bit of a pinch of salt just because of the way that, I don't know, if you watch the gameplay on the Falcons, I think Pred's playing in such a way. You know, Cellium has also been kind of talked about this as well, that, look, at the end of the day, they need Pred to slay. So he's going to slay. He's going to do what's necessary to get the slaying done on that roster. And he's done that pretty effectively, even on the Falcons as well. How that's translated to success, of course, is a bit of a different question. But, you know, would you say, based on these numbers, that Pred on the year has been underrated? I'm not sure it's so clear-cut to say that. You know, at the end of the day, KD isn't everything. But still, it's worthy to note that in terms of positive KD series percentage, Pred's 6th on the season, despite an incredibly tumultuous year, that maybe he can kick on from going into next season, depending what the Falcons decide to do. CleanX and Insight, they all play their 6th World Championship as a duo. They started out in BO4, didn't play MW19, of course, together because Insight wasn't getting the league in 2019, 2020, but in Cold War, then they've been on the same team on Toronto, of course, ever since then. Simp and aBeZy, they've played 7 World Championships together. Scump and Formal, Scump and Kremp, they only played 5. So pretty remarkable to see this list now being topped by players who have, you know, come into the league what feels like relatively recently, but of course not really. They've been around for plenty of years at this point. But let's talk about some of the drama. This was Scump trying to play some Warzone, trying to actually enjoy playing some Call of Duty, and having a very difficult time doing so. As he says here, the state of ranked Warzone. So this is the ranked mode in Warzone. There's hackers everywhere, and if the hackers weren't bad enough, you've got effectively what I can only understand as like boosted lobbies. So you've got these teams, teamers or whatever they want to say, who will take each other down, and then, you know, they can buy them, like they buy their teammates back in, basically to get more points. So to rank up in Warzone, you know, if you get further in the matches, if you know, get through the further stages, you'll get more points accrued, and therefore you can get your special camos or your emblems or whatever's going on. So you're seeing a lot of this in ranked right now, where you've got teams teaming up with people and effectively boosting up lobbies. And it's funny because, you know, back in the day, boosters used to be a thing. You guys probably remember you'd spawn into a game in BO2 or something, and you'd see in the bottom left-hand side someone would be just dying again and again and again. And you'd see them, you know, spamming the tactical insertions, they'd respawn, and then someone would be getting their headshots for free, and then they would trade it and do it again the next game. That used to happen back in the day, but at least that was a pretty isolated instant, right? It was like, okay, whatever. Those two guys are going to sit in a corner and they're going to boost the whole game. You know, it didn't happen every game, but it was happening relatively frequently. Whatever, it doesn't really affect my experience. I'll just run around and drop a nuke, right? Whereas in Warzone, you know, it is directly affecting the experience, because you've got these teams who are like, you know, teaming up with the sole intention to do this, and you've got poor guys like Scump who have sitting there having to watch through this stuff, and people are playing what is meant to be the competitive mode in a way that is purely anti-competitive. And it's just funny to watch this because, you know, with all the other issues that COD currently has, this one is now just joins the foray to make it even worse. So this is what Scump has to say on it, and I'll also share the clip here from Skyz when he's talking about the state of, well, and also attached really, the current work ethic drama and dilemma in the league. You've got players trying, and as these guys are trying to achieve certain things, but you've got other players who are potentially trying to achieve a world championship victory and might be trying very hard.
Dude! Call of Duty! What are we doing?
I'm fucking reporting a lot of them, bro.
I can't do anymore. Yeah, guys, this is ranked play, by the way. This is not for fun. We're not hosting a custom lobby and they're trolling. This is ranked.
State of ranked play, bro. What am I seeing, man?
What was your mindset? Because I did see you grinding a lot. Like you were like the 8s leader for a while, getting S&D 8s, getting respawn 8s. Was that just kind of your mindset after getting benched? Like I just need to grind and like I can't let people forget about me.
To be honest, I was literally doing the same shit that I was fucking doing when I was on the team. But I guess it was more OD, but I feel like I was in 8s every night, like I was before even I got benched. I feel like if I'm on a team, I'm just perma grinding the game, like trying to like, bro, like right now 8s can't even start, bro. I feel like I started like 90% of them, and then now there's like 2-3 people in there. Yeah, like they're just it never starts now. And it's the most important time of the year. You got champs coming up where you could win the most money. You got EWC right after that. So like, I mean, these 2 tournaments are the life-changing tournaments. As much as majors matter for pro points and everything, you're really not going to win that much money in comparison. You win champs, you win, what, a couple $100,000. You win EWC, same thing. So, like, this is the moment where it actually changes your life and your future 100%. With these opportunities 100%. That you have. So, like, you want to make the most of it. What's kind of crazy, bro. 860, 32 people still, like, going to champs. And there's, like, they can't get 8 every night. It's actually
Yeah, no, that is wild. And
so you've got guys like Pred. He's grinding out ranked play. You know, he's trying to put in some time, of course. Like, he's not going to be there at the World Championship. I think some of the Falcons guys had a bit of a break, and then they're either going to blow up their team or they're going to come back stronger. I think for Falcons, when we talk about Rostermania stuff, and I think it was even Shotzzy that mentioned this the other day, that Champs is interesting in the sense that if you are a team that's not going to be at the World Championship, do you want to blow it up now for EWC? Because who can you sign? You can only really sign someone from Challenges. So it's like, well, you know, if you're Falcons and you're thinking about getting rid of Arcetes or Priester and making a change there, you know, you can only change them out for somebody who's also in Challenges. So, you know, what's the point, I suppose? Whereas, if you can, and you are allowed to wait past the World Championship, maybe make a change in the week following Champs, then take that team to the World Cup, then if you do badly, then you can blow it up. You know, maybe that's going to make up for what's been a couple of dead weeks here before the World Championship by all the Rostermania drama that could potentially be happening later on. But as Skyz and Attach make rather clear, they find it surprising that if the players that are going to be at the World Championship, no one's trying to grind. Drazah, of course, has made it very clear, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, CHAL, like, I'll play whatever, right? Just get me the game. This is pretty funny. So apparently Aiden was in the replies and was basically saying, look, you know, let's do a CHAL. Drazah says, I need 2 for a 3v3 CHAL against Warzone kids. So this is the point, right? Like, Drazah's tweeted about CHALs, and the only people that were like, hey, yeah, you know what, 3v3 CHAL, let's do it, are Warzone players, right? So what's going on? And Drazah can't even find 2 for that. And then Aiden in the replies is like, look, I was just joking. I wasn't even meaning to get a proper CHAL. Delete the tweet. I was just joking, man. Take the money. So, you know, it's all pretty funny, but it's also an absolute shambles in many respects because, you know, we've seen plenty of teams make it to the World Championship. And what's been happening over the last couple of weekends, I think Attach made a pretty compelling point to say, look, at this point in the season, this is all there is to play for, and this is the most important championships of the entire year, even from a monetary perspective, right? Like, you know, as a competitor, the money isn't what comes first, right? Like, certainly not at Champs. To be fair, for some players, yeah, and I don't blame them, right? If you want to win the money, like, I respect it heavily. But for a lot of players, it's about the glory, right? It's about going down in history as a world champion. But even if you're not considering that element and you're purely considering the money you can make, these next couple of tournaments are more than the whole season combined, and by a long way, right? Like, every tournament we've had this season, I think it's been $375,000. So you total that up, you're talking, you know, $1.5 million. So effectively, the budget for the World Cup or the World Championship is the same as the entire season of matches. And then you've got the World Cup, which is effectively that again, because I'm not 100% sure what the prize pools are going to be for that this year, but it's going to be at least $1 million plus. So, you know, these last couple of events, in the next few weeks, the players have the possibility to win way more money than they did for the entire season, effectively, so far. And yet we're seeing from Skyz and from Attach that they don't seem especially keen to make that happen right now. Of course, the teams will be grinding practice and scrims and, you know, teamwork and stuff like that over the next couple of weeks, and there's no surprises there. But people putting in the extra kind of extracurricular hours that has been seen in the past, as Sky says, look, there's 32 players at Champs and we can't get 8 of them for 8, so we can barely get any at all, is, yeah, bit of a disaster, really. But that's the state of things at the moment, unfortunately, and it also means that there's less for us to talk about. So everyone, to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.